Hey everyone, welcome back to bageltcg. Today we're going to have an extra special video as we look through the Outsiders announcement article and talk about what it means for Flesh and Blood, what it means for the draft experience and for Classic Constructor going forward, and what the new revealed heroes are. So let's hop right into it here. We've got Outsiders. It's a standalone booster set, of course. This is not a supplemental set. It's set in the pits, which is a kind of underground area, caverns, canals, backstabbing, and skullduggery, it says. So kind of piratey, I guess. And it's the first set to feature multiple heroes within each class. So this is already pretty big. This is a huge change, and it's going to make drafting, I think, really cool. We have 6 total heroes for this set. And there are 2 for each class. Half of these, or I guess almost more than half of these, are reprints. So we've got for Ninja, Katsu, and Benji right here. These are already ninjas that exist. As far as we know, they're not getting any new hero abilities. And then Azalea is one of the Rangers. Once again, we assume it's just a reprint, not getting any new hero ability there. The new characters are Uzuri and Riptide. Uzuri is an assassin and Riptide is a ranger. And then we've got Arachne. I'm going to assume keeping the same hero ability, but this one could be a different hero ability if he's talented. So those are the 6 different heroes you can play as in the set. And I think that's really, really cool. One of the things I liked a lot about Tales of Aria is that every hero had kind of 2 ways to play it. You could do the ice version of Oldhim or the earth version of Oldhim. You could do the ice version of Lexi or the lightning version of Lexi. The earth or lightning Briar. And each of those decks felt kind of different from each other. They felt enough different where they felt kind of like unique heroes. And I think this is going to feel pretty similar, but even more so unique, right? Because you get an entirely different hero ability. You're going to be using the same cards, but you do get that unique hero ability for each one. So that is kind of the different heroes we've got. And I think it's going to be really cool for draft and really open it up, right? Now, instead of only having, for Uprising, 3 different heroes, and you're going to play one of the other 2 or 3 heroes, you could play up to 6 different heroes every time you sit down for a battle and draft. So I think that's really interesting. And as someone that prefers limited, I'm really interested in how that's going to play out and super excited. Next here, we've got the heroes. These are kind of the new heroes. We've got Uzuri, I think, in the center here, who is a spider operative assassin and the ringleader of the Band of Misfits. Ringleader of this group right here, which we have Riptide right here on the right. This is a trap-based ranger. Very interesting. So far in Flesh and Blood, traps have been pretty bad. You can only use 1 per turn currently because you have to play them from Arsenal, and unless you play like the D-React that lets you reload, it's pretty hard to get them back in your Arsenal. And they're not even that powerful most of the time anyways. So far traps are pretty bad. And then Uzuri, we don't really know much about outside of that. Uzuri is the ringleader of a Band of Misfits. And then we've got Arachne, who I assume, once again, is the same text, but does have a different name, so might actually have a different hero ability. We can see here we've got Arachne Solitary Confinement. So not just straight up Arachne. We already have a young Arachne, I think. I'm not sure, actually. Maybe we don't have a young Arachne and this is just young Arachne. But if we don't, I'm going to guess this is a unique new version of Arachne here. And then we've got, Uzuri. And then Uzuri is also originally from Mysteria, which is where the ninjas are from. So that's why you see the different border on her young version. She ends up running away from her past, right? And then the ninjas come to get her. Basically, they're coming to bring her back to Mysteria, as far as we know. And the rest you can all see have borders of the pits for all of these different heroes here. So very cool. I'm personally really excited for Riptide and really excited to see how that plays out. I like defensive heroes. I would have loved for traps to be better than they are. And I'm hoping Riptide has a pretty strong hero ability to support the traps. And they print a lot of new strong traps. To make him a trap-based ranger, they're going to have to print quite a lot of new traps for the set just so they can be played in limited. And then obviously he's probably going to have a hero ability that works with traps. He starts at less than 40 life, 38 life here, and then his young hero starts at only 19. So I'm going to guess he probably has a stronger than average hero ability if they balanced it so that his health made him slightly weaker. Maybe his hero ability is something like when you play a trap, draw a card, or when you play a trap, reload, something like that that lets you play multiple traps a turn or lets you just repeatedly get traps out. So I'm expecting a pretty pushed hero ability if we're gonna, one, make traps good, and two, make his lower health worth it, right? So expecting something pretty strong there. Couldn't really guess about Uzuri here, but because she has a link to Mysteria, it might be something closer to how ninjas work, kind of a mix of ninja and assassin, right? Ninjas have a kind of theme where they combo stuff together, whether that's straight up through combo cards with Katsu or through stringing along a lot of different links with Benji or Ira. Most of them care about the combat chain and care about going pretty wide. So I'm expecting Uzuri to be the go wide version of Assassin, doing a lot of small on hits, and then Arachne to continue being a bit of a go tall. He doesn't get go again very easily, and does a few big attacks, 2 or 3 big attacks, usually maybe sometimes only 1 big attack, and Uzuri might go a bit wider. That's my prediction, at least, based on what we know so far. Next up here, we have hybrid cards. This is pretty huge. Doesn't impact a ton for CC, right? It means either an assassin or a ranger can play this action. Obviously for CC, that just means that one more hero or class can play it. But for limited, will be pretty big. It'll basically be like how Draconic was for Uprising. Either of these classes can play it. So 2 out of the 3 classes in the set can play it, which makes it a pretty high pick card. I think we will have some not just at Majestic, from what I understand. So we might have some commons and rares that are also dual class cards, which will make it a really wide open draft set, which will be nice because Uprising was basically the opposite of a wide open draft set. You had to commit to your pick pretty early on and just pray. Hope that you read it right. And I don't think that'll be as much the case here. We did also see the Marvels here. I think as far as they said, they're going to have these 3 Marvels, one for each of the codexes, and each codex is for one of the 3 deadly diseases. So there's 3 hybrid cards, Marvel research notes, like here. They hold the answers to the origins of the 3 deadly diseases that plague the inhabitants of the pits. And that's what I think the talent is going to be, if there is one. They don't have a talent on any of the heroes. So either there is no talent in the set, or they just haven't revealed it, right? They just photoshopped it out. I do think that, from what I understand, every region is supposed to have its own talent. Aria has Elemental, the Monastery has Shadow, and then there's Light from Solari or whatever it's called, that area. So every region has its own talent, as far as we know. And I think the pits, if it's going to have one, is going to be something to do with the 3 deadly diseases that plague the inhabitants of the pits. So we have 3 deadly diseases, and you can see it impacting at least 2 of them here. You can see Riptide is like missing an arm, has just gas coming out of his mouth, has barnacles on his arm. It's just basically he's just rotting away, right? And then Arachne has this like massive tumor right here, right on their shoulder. So like huge growth right here, obviously plagued and is pretty covered. So probably has a pretty messed up body in addition to this tumor, due to the deadly disease. We don't know if there's anything wrong with Uzuri. My only guess is there's a lot of metal on her legs and body, so it could be that she just lost all of her limbs and this is all mechanical. That might not be the case at all, but if there's a plague affecting her, the only thing that you can kind of see is that maybe this is all robotic. That would be the only guess, really, but that is what I would guess the talent is. Something plague-based, maybe plague. That would make the most sense to me, maybe something like toxic. But I'm not sure what word they would use, but if there's going to be a talent, I think it would be something to do with that, since it affects each of them. It says there are 3 deadly diseases, I should say, and there's 3, Arachne is not entirely new, but 3 quote-unquote new heroes, right? So each one of them could have one of the different diseases. You can see the thing affecting, whatever disease is affecting Riptide is obviously different than the one affecting Arachne. Arachne is growing new stuff. He's got a tumor. He has growth. Riptide has the opposite. He's losing parts of his body. So kind of different situation here. And then maybe whatever's affecting Missouri is not visible. Maybe it's something mental or something like that. I'm not sure. But that would be my guess, something plague related, something like that that has to go and tie in with the kind of the lore of the pits, where it's a really dirty, plague infested region down in the underground, basically. I do want to take a look at the card itself here for Codex of Frailty. I have to say it's one of my favorite majestic arts we've ever seen. I'm really excited to collect these Marvel research notes here. They're just absolutely gorgeous, and I hope the cards are playable so that we can actually play these. And since it's a Marvel, hopefully it comes in cold foil as well, so that we can play it without it curling or anything. But taking a look at the card, once again, it is an Assassin or Ranger action, so you can play it in either deck. It's a yellow Majestic, so it's only going to come in this yellow. Costs 0, and it blocks for 2. So this is, when I see a 2 block card, you're thinking of it as a more aggressive card or a power card. If your cards are only blocking for 2, you want to be playing them most of the time and not blocking with them. So let's hope it has a pretty good play effect. It says each hero puts an attack action card from their graveyard face down into their arsenal. Each hero that does discards a card. Create a ponder token under your control and a frailty token under each opponent's control. So we have all the information for this card except what a frailty token is, which could kind of make or break how strong this card is. So take my idea of its power level with a grain of salt here. I'm not really going to speak to what I think frailty token is. If it's the opposite of a ponder token, it would mean your opponent discards a card at the end of their turn or draws one less, which both sound really powerful, but we don't actually know what it is. Obviously, a ponder token means you draw before you draw up, so you get to basically arsenal the card that you drew with ponder. But the effect is quite powerful. It's a little dependent on what your opponent has. If they already have a card in arsenal, this card's pretty amazing because they get nothing, and you get to basically use this card to pick a card from your to kind of filter one card in your hand. It's like a Become the Arknight, right? Become the Arknight is a non-attack action where you play it, discard a card, and then you get to search your deck for the opposite, either an attack or a non-attack. This does something very similar, lets you pick a specifically powerful move. Obviously with Rangers, it's even nicer because it goes face down into your arsenal, so you can then play it. If it's an arrow, it's already in your arsenal. But even for Assassin, this can be pretty strong. They have a few really good power cards like Surgical Extraction that you would love to just put back into your arsenal. So we don't know what Frailty is, but I think even without that, this might have a place. It's already pretty strong, and just being able to filter, Become the Arknight was pretty good. I think if anything is going to hold this card back, it's the block and the pitch value. You would love for this to be just like Become the Arknight, which is a blue 3 block. I think those are things that are holding it back. It doesn't pitch for as much as you like, and it doesn't block for as much as you'd like. But we'll have to see how good Frailty are, and if that pushes it to be a powerful enough play effect. And that is, I believe, everything we got in this announcement outside of when the Pro Tour is. I think that's in here somewhere. I think it might be product sheet right here. And I think this is where they announced the Pro Tour. If you haven't seen it already, I believe it is in Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore, the weekend of April 27th to the 30th, with a cash prize of $200K. So pretty big cash prize. From what I understand, it's because this is the only Pro Tour this year or something like that. Last year, I think they had 2 Pro Tours that were each $100K. And I think this is the only Pro Tour this year. So they're combining the normal $100K for each Pro Tour into one big Pro Tour. So that's pretty cool. I'm not going to really comment on Baltimore as an area because I don't know it very well. I've heard it can be a little dangerous, but if you're going, just make sure you stay safe. I'm really excited. I already qualified because I'm in top 50 ELO for Limited. I'm currently 28 globally for Limited. So I qualified through that. If you're in top 50 for any of the categories like 90-day XP, lifetime XP, limited elo or a constructed elo, any of the top 50s qualify. So that's 200 qualifications. And then obviously we have ProQuest coming up that will qualify people as well. I'm definitely excited to hop into talking about limited more for this set once we get it. I think the it says it actually on the cards, doesn't it? The preview season begins March 4th, so we've got that to look forward to. Definitely will be making a lot more preview videos about a little less than 2 months from now when we start preview season. I'm really excited for the set. I hope it does have a talent. It doesn't, obviously so far it doesn't show a talent. I hope it does have a talent because I think talents are cool, and I'd like every region to have one and have something to play with there. So even if it's only lightly used, because it might be hard to have a talent when you have all these other, heroes here that don't have a talent, like Katsu, Benji, and Azalea. So it might be hard to have, but I think it'd be really cool still, and I hope they do it. So excited to see that. Excited to see the new cards. Let me know what hero you think is coolest that you're most excited for, how you feel about having 6 total heroes in a set for limited, and how you feel about the hybrid cards. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this announcement. I think the Marvel is obviously gorgeous. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.